Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something fascinating. We're taking one of the most famous verses in the New Testament, Matthew 23.37, and looking at it through a completely different lens.
A radically different lens,
Yes,
actually.
exactly. It's the verse, where Jesus cries out, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that kills the prophets." And for centuries, it's been read pretty much one way, right?
Yeah, the traditional take is, well, sorrow. A lament over a physical city, Jerusalem, and its people, seen as rebellious,
Yeah.
rejecting him, and basically heading for divine punishment.
But our source material today, this deep analysis by Dr. Roy E. Richmond, argues it's it's kind of missing the point entirely.
It really does. Dr. Roy uses the Aramaic, a language Jesus likely spoke, to argue that this whole surface reading, especially the King James Version, has kind of pushed us towards ideas of guilt and divine wrath and separation.
So our mission today is to unpack that, to show how this verse, seen through the Aramaic, isn't about external judgment at all.
Precisely. It transforms. It becomes this internal, really timeless message about our own consciousness, about human awareness.
Okay, that's a huge claim. So let's start right there. If it's not the physical city, this Jerusalem, what is it? What does the Aramaic reveal?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The word Jerusalem, in Aramaic, Yerushalayim, it's not just a name on a map.
It's more symbolic.
It's descriptive. It's actually a compound word. You have Yuru, which means something like foundation or even vision,
Okay.
and then Shalem, which means peace, wholeness, completeness. Think shalom.
Ah, right. So foundation of peace, vision of wholeness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Metaphysically, Dr. Roy defines Jerusalem as the inner city of consciousness. It's that inner realm of awareness that's actually designed to live in union with, as he puts it, the breath of divine completeness.
So the voice in the verse isn't talking to stone walls. It's talking to my own awareness, to the listener's awareness.
That's the interpretation. It's speaking to the very heart of human consciousness, reminding it of its true nature, its foundation in peace, which, if you think about it, means the conflict described must also be internal.
We have to stop looking outside ourselves for the problem, for the rebellion.
Precisely.
Okay, let's stick with that internal idea, because the next part is, well, it sounds pretty harsh. Thou that kills the prophets and stones them which are sent unto thee. If this is internal, who are these prophets being killed and stoned inside us?
Yeah, it sounds violent, doesn't it? But again, internally the meaning shifts. If Jerusalem is our inner foundation of peace, then the prophets, the Nebiim in Aramaic, they aren't external people.
They're internal messenger.
Dr. Roy calls them the awakened voices of awareness, those inner stirrings, inspirations, the little nudges or sudden insights that the divine breath is always trying to get through to us.
So killing the prophets is like silencing our own intuition, our gut feelings.
Pretty much, yeah. The Aramaic phrase, ketel nebiin, it means to silence or to cut off the inspired voice. It's that moment you have an insight, a genuine spiritual impulse, and then bam.
The ego or fear or just old habits shut it down.
Right. Your conditioning takes over. You suppress it. That's the killing.
Okay, but stoning them, that feels even more aggressive. Why that image?
The stoning is about how we suppress it. The phrase regime long means something like to cover or to harden against.
Ah, hardening.
Yeah. Think of it allegorically.
Yeah.
It represents a hardened awareness. It's like we build up layers of mental, concrete, rigid thinking, dogma, maybe just sticking to the literal meaning of things or emotional resistance.
So we bury those tender new insights under hard stuff.
Yeah.
Literalism, maybe fear of change.
Exactly. We harden against new revelation. We prefer the familiar, even if it's kind of painful, right?
Yeah.
Rather than yielding to that softer inner knowing, it's burying the impulse under the weight of our fixed ideas.
So the conflict, the stoning, it's happening entirely within our own choice to stay rigid.
That's what Dr. Roy argues. The divine keeps sending these prophets, these inspirations. The blockage is our own internal hardening.
That really shifts the responsibility. Okay, so after this accusation, there's this famous, much gentler image. How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathered her chickens under her wings, and ye would not? If Jerusalem is our fragmented awareness, what are the children?
Following the internal logic, the children, Banak, aren't literal kids. They are the expressions of your awareness.
Meaning
All those fragmented thoughts. The worries, the fears, the anxiety, the little bits and pieces of belief that are born from thinking we're separate. All the mental clutter.
So our mind is scattered into all these little worried thoughts, like lost chicks.
Kind of, yeah. And the phrase, how often would I have gathered it translates with this sense of deep desire. How often I have desired to draw together to unify your scattered thoughts.
So it's about bringing mental chaos back into order, into peace.
Exactly. And the hen gathering her chicks, Gdabarnir Shekenoshath Parhathia, that's the perfect image for this nurturing desire. It's this compassionate awareness trying to gather all those fragile, maybe fearful thoughts.
Under the shelter of inner protection.
Right. Back towards stillness, toward oneness.
Let's talk about the wings specifically. That image pops up a lot in spiritual texts. What do the wings mean here in the Aramaic context? What's the mechanism for this gathering?
The wings are key. They symbolize a breath-voiced elevation of thought. It's not just about safety or shelter.
Elevation, like lifting up.
Yes. It represents consciousness moving up, rising above the dust realm, as Dr. Roy calls it. That's the realm of scattered, literal, fear-based thinking.
The everyday worries and anxieties.
And rising into the breath realm, the unified spiritual reality. So the wings represent the power that lifts our fragmented thoughts out of fear and into a unified state of peace.
Wow. So the gathering isn't passive, it's an active lifting, a constant, compassionate movement by the divine breath drawing us toward wholeness.
That's the idea. It really underscores that separation is something the human mind chooses, while the divine intelligence, the logos, is always working to unify.
Which brings us back to who's actually speaking here. If it's this constant internal process, it can't really be the historical Jesus lamenting a specific event in time, can it?
Dr. Roy is very clear on this. The speaker is the logos within each person. It's that inherent divine reality speaking directly to our own Jerusalem awareness, that inner realm where peace should reign but has gotten fractured by fear, by focusing on external rules instead of inner connection.
It's the voice of the divine breath speaking to its own potential within us.
Yes, calling out to every consciousness that's resisting its own natural state of union.
So that traditional lament is really what? A continuous invitation, an appeal. Could you maybe give us Dr. Roy's sort of synthesized version of the verse's meaning?
He frames it as this loving command, an exhortation from the inner Elohim Ruwach Breath. It's essentially saying something like, look, exist has always been right here within you, wanting to gather every stray thought, every fear under my nurturing presence. You, your awareness, you're designed for peace. Yet you keep shutting down, hardening against the very inspirations I send to help you. I just desire your wholeness. Come home, come to your inner Jerusalem, and just live as peace itself.
That's incredibly different, much more hopeful in a way. But then there's that final stark phrase, and you would not. If the call is so constant, so loving, why the refusal? What is this unwillingness?
Ah, yes. Well, it translates literally as you were not willing, or maybe you were not inclined in awareness. And this, for Dr. Roy, confirms everything.
It confirms the resistance isn't from the divine side.
Not at all. The divine is eternally calling, gathering, offering shelter. The block is entirely in the individual choice. Our choice to cling to separation. Maybe we prefer the illusion of control or the comfort of old beliefs, the safety of external rules.
Rather than yielding to that radical, maybe uncertain feeling of unified inner peace.
Exactly. We're just not willing, not inclined to let go.
So, wow. We started with what looks like divine sorrow and judgment over a city's fate.
And we end up with this ongoing, intimate invitation from the logos within us to simply return home, to realize peace never actually left.
We just have to be willing to allow that inner breath, those wings, to gather our scattered thoughts back into the stillness of oneness.
That's the essence of it.
It's an amazing transformation. Jerusalem becomes our state of awareness. Killing prophets is silencing our own inner wisdom. Stoning them is hardening our hearts and minds. And the gathering is this constant loving work of the divine to bring us back to wholeness. It really shows how getting back to the root language can just overturn centuries of interpretation.
It truly does.
Yeah.
And it brings the focus squarely back to us, to our own inner landscape, which leads to the real takeaway, perhaps. Well, if resistance to peace is basically suppressing our inner inspiration, our prophets, and hardening our awareness with stones, then the real question for anyone listening is, what are your stones? What specific dogmas, what fears, what ingrained patterns of fragmented thinking are you allowing to harden your awareness? What's silencing the prophets within your own inner Jerusalem? Becoming aware of that. Well, that's the first step toward actually being gathered into wholeness, isn't it?